or does it tell you anything different about how valuable he is to this organization? Because I see there's a lot of talk about him being one and this and better than Jason. Man, I fully disagree with some of that discourse that's been talked about.
I think both things can be true.
Mhm.
I think that his post game conference he had, I think it was maybe a week or two ago, where he had expressed feeling like for the past 5 or 6 years that he had been the one who's been expected to take the back seat and who's had to make the most sacrifice to what he is as a player. And I'm sure that that is probably true. I think Jason Tatum had been more welcomed by the NBA as someone who could be the face of the NBA, and there was a greater push and a greater marketing effort to put Jason Tatum out in front of the league. Um, and because Jalen Brown is as vocal as he is as righteous as he can be, we know that in most corporate spaces, that can be a little off putting, regardless of how talented you are. And so I think that there's truth to that, coupled with the fact that part of why they've had to do so much purging is because of how expensive he and Jason's contracts
Man,
are.
very expensive.
You're paying over $600 million between two players, one of which has now spent an entire season rehabbing an Achilles injury, and you don't really know how to project how he's going to look post recovery.
Correct.
So there has to be a managerial conversation about how do we move forward, especially if Jason isn't the same all NBA, MVP candidate Jason that we are accustomed to having. When you do have someone like Jalen Brown, who has shown he's capable of being an all NBA, MVP candidate caliber type of player.
Playing phenomenal
And
too this year.
he's playing phenomenal. And I think that he also has the kind of leadership temperament that fits a 1A championship contending leader
Yeah.
in a way that Jason does not, at least from the outside looking in. And so I think all of those things considered, you would have to think about what a future without Jason Tatum could potentially look like. I don't think you have to
And
make
that's
the decision,
scary.
but I think you have to consider it.
And that's the tough part that comes with this CBA because it's hard. I wish there wasn't a rule or exception if you draft a player. There's certain safeguards that you have as an organization
I would
to retain
agree.
these players to your team because that should be the reward that I drafted well. And now this money that I wish it was maybe something that like how MLB, they don't have a salary cap. I wish there was a certain percentage of that money that a team could spend if these players were drafted by them that, hey, this does not hit this part of the
I would
salary cap
agree.
because this is your reward for how well you drafted and this is how we reward you, right? And I do think, to your point, it may have to have a conversation. Hopefully, they don't have to, depend on Jason Tatum's play and how he recovers and how he looks when he returns. But the only thing I would say that I think Jalen Brown needs to be careful of is he's praising himself a lot. He's talking a lot where he's like, I've been trying to tell y'all I'm this, I'm that. And it's like, I don't want him to where it's like pushing this narrative when Jason Tatum comes back and then it's like, I told you. And then now it's this, I told you I was better than
Division.
him. I try, and that's where I feel that potential with how he's moving. And for me, it's like, I always believe you are this player. I think most people believe you are this player. I think the media played this game with y'all and try to pin you all against each other. We all know why Jason Tatum got the spotlight that he did. He went to Duke. He like it was a cookie cutter person to push. But if you also think about it, people don't praise Jason Tatum. The media pushed it. More fans probably saw it on the era
A fair point.
of Brown than they do Jason Tatum. So I just don't want to see them have this friction because there's a lot of people who don't like you or they have this narrative against you. Jalen Brown, your narrative is you're too outspoken or you're this, you're that. Jason Tatum, you're not a star. You're not really this. We saw what happened with USA. So these are
You're not
all
outspoken
things.
enough.
These are all things that people are trying to work to get you all to pull apart. And with them having this young dynamic duo, like I just want to see them keep that together.